Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Z. I'm a clinical psychologist specializing in adult transgender care. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here or a regular viewer that has not yet subscribed, please do subscribe. I would very much appreciate that. And if you don't yet follow me on Instagram, link is below. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. Oh my God, I have been creating very interesting, very fun, very empowering and powerful content for trans women on Instagram. So if you identify as a trans woman, go to Instagram and follow me. You will love it, I promise you. And it's a great way to stay connected. For today's video, I want to talk to all of you, trans ladies, trans women out there, uh, about why you tend to so frequently oscillate between one moment loving yourself and loving your womanhood and owning it. And then suddenly it's almost like a switch went off. The next moment, maybe even the next day, it can happen really quickly, almost overnight. And then the next moment, you are angry. You're angry at yourself. You might be angry that you're trans. You might be angry that you have to go through gender transition in order to feel like you're part of the world. Maybe you're angry because you have to take hormones. Maybe you're just angry at even people around you for not accepting you. So you go from self-loving and feeling amazing about yourself to a whole Godzilla. It's almost makes me think about a bridezilla, right? Is that phenomenon that women when they get married to go through they're like such princesses and sweethearts before the wedding starts, and then suddenly they can turn into bridezilla where it's just like the rage just gets unleashed. My younger sister, hope she's not watching it, did that. So the point I'm trying to make is that this isolating, right? This isolating should be very familiar to a lot of you because it is such a common phenomenon. This isolating between I love myself and I love everything about myself as a woman too. I hate it. I hate being trans. I hate calling myself trans. I hate that I have to go through this process. Happens. Not only does it happen in the beginning of gender transition, but it happens throughout gender transition. It is the most prevalent and the most present during the mid part of gender transition. That middle point that I talk about, that is the most challenging part for a lot of trans women when you feel like you're in between genders, when you feel like you are no longer really fully seen through the lens of the world as men, but you're also not fully seen through the lens of the world as women, and you're kind of in between. And it's this frustrating period. That's when this oscillation is the most prevalent. Another time this is very common is also toward the end of gender transition or even post-gender transition happens all of the time. And this back and forth creates not only anxiety, can increase gender dysphoria, but also with a lot of people that I work with, it creates a lot of self-doubt and questioning. Am I making the right choice? Did I make the right decisions? Should I have started hormones? If I go back and forth between loving myself and hating myself, am I really a woman? Should I detransition? It creates a lot of self-doubt. And it makes sense, right? If you're oscillating between I love myself and I hate myself, that inner self-doubt is going to arise. So let's talk about it. Let's break it down a little bit. Where does it come from? Because it's such a common phenomenon. For starters, a lot of you, a lot of you who've been struggling with gender dysphoria for years. Think about your past. A lot of you have been struggling since you were age 4, 5, 6. A lot of you have been struggling since you were teens. Some of you might be in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. We're talking about decades of living with dysphoria. When you're living decades with dysphoria, it is going to be inevitable that you're also going to start to accumulate inner self-loathing, inner feelings of tremendous amount of shame and guilt about who you are. Because you're constantly carrying the authentic part of your woman identity, of your feminine identity, that is being covered up by masculine self, by the assigned gender. And when you're constantly carrying her in secrecy, and when you feel terrified and scared to share her, even with your loved ones, you start you start accumulating shame. You start you start to feel ashamed of that feminine part in you. She's starting to make you feel ashamed of yourself. She's starting to make you feel embarrassed. She's starting to make you feel also guilty for wanting to come out, for wanting to externalize, for wanting to navigate this life as a woman. And the reason why she's making you feel guilty is because, especially if you are in a relationship, in a marriage, you feel guilty because you feel that acknowledging her existence, acknowledging her presence, means you have to choose yourself. That's at least how a lot of you think, over your family. Or you have to sacrifice family at expense of your authentic feminine self coming out. And that's bound to make you feel guilty. So when you have years and decades of carrying the shame and guilt, self-loathing starts to again bubble up. That's when you start hating yourself. You start not liking yourself. You start not liking the person you are. You start not liking the internal qualities of yourselves. And when you get to the point, a lot of you have decided to step into gender transition because a lot of you had a breaking point, right? A lot of you had that point when you just felt, I cannot either live with this pain anymore, or I cannot go another day pretending to be the man that I'm not, or I cannot live this life and never really live it out in my true authentic self. Whatever your point was, and maybe it wasn't even a breaking point, maybe it just was like this big aha, this inner deeper realization you had. But something cracked, right? The tension between the assigned gender that you were being your life, that you did not feel resonance to, and your authentic self as a woman. The tension that created, right? It's like the rubber band. You can only stretch it so far. When it snapped, you decided to take control of your life. When it snapped, you decided to step forward and take steps toward some elements of gender transition, wherever you decided transition is for you. I always say that because it's important, so important to acknowledge that gender transition is one big blueprint that is very individualistic to each person. And if one person decides to go through surgeries, another one decides they do not want them. That is all valid. So, ladies, all valid. I just did a post about this, about women with penises. Yes, decide what works for you. Don't ever put yourself in a box. So, when that rubber band snapped, and when it snapped, and when you decided to take steps, as you started to take steps, a lot of times you felt amazing. This is a part of oscillation, love, hate, right? This is a part of love. There were and are so many days when you love yourself, you love your womanhood, you love your trans womanhood, you are experiencing yourself in a way you never allowed yourself. A lot of you suddenly feel like, oh, you finally came up for air. Have you ever been swimming? I don't know. I'm not a very good swimmer. I don't swim underneath water. I am a horrible swimmer, but I know that when people sometimes swim and they hold on to their, it's like coming up for the air, right? Gasping. It's like suffocating and suddenly being able to have your passageways open and you're able to breathe. It feels amazing. It was incredibly freeing to finally be, just to be, which is, you know, it saddens me that so many people miss out on that and afraid to step into that. But I totally also get why. So that's the love part. Every time you um, present as your true self, you come out to somebody, you acknowledge yourself, you embody that feminine in you, you feel amazing. I know a lot of you feel amazing. I also know that it's like a switch. Then immediately you can feel hate, resentfulness, contempt, anger. Lots of anger can come up. Shame, guilt, self-loathing. Back and forth, back and forth. When you go back and forth, it starts to feel like you're gaslighting yourself. And in a lot of ways, it does feel very much like you're gaslighting yourself. Everything you feel over here, the anger, the hatred, the self-loathing, what you're feeling is, oops, I do this all the time. What you're feeling is years and years of that accumulated stuff that you never processed because you never were in a space or you never even able to process all the stuff. And in reality, how can you process all of it if you, while you're processing, you're still keeping this big part of yourself caged in, right? This is why when people start going through their gender transition or start stepping into who they are, they start detoxing the accumulated shame and guilt and all of this, just this dark, negative emotions and feelings that make us feel rotten. But this is why you oscillate, because stuff that's coming up, this is telling you, hey, there's something here that you haven't cleaned up yet. It's just showing where the spots are that needs to be addressed. Another reason, and this is one of the biggest reasons why you oscillate between love and hate, is not so much that sometimes you have stuff that you need to clean up inside of you, but it's that as you step into yourself and you're loving yourself, you're owning yourself, you're navigating your life as yourself, you're still constantly inundated and bombarded by the world telling you, at least here in the United States right now, the world is telling you you should not exist, you're mentally ill, you are a perverted man, you are just somebody who is, gay person who decided to transition, you are deviant, you are, people even go as far as say, claiming that trans women are pedophiles. Talk about not even understanding what the terminology means and applying it to completely, yeah, okay. You all know what I'm talking about. So you have the world like this big, it's almost like imagine this. You wake up and you feel amazing, right? And you feel so good and so blessed. And you put on your clothes and you own it and you feel empowered and beautiful and sexy and this like big sunshine around you. And you step outside or you turn on the news or you tune into podcast or you go on social media and you suddenly seeing these messages, these negative messages about your state of being, your existence. And it's like this dark gray cloud suddenly comes over you. And a lot of you have not learned yet how to have an umbrella, right? Think about umbrella as a metaphor for a valuable skill set tools that it's like, oh, well, it's raining. Fine. I don't have to get wet. I can enjoy the rain, or at least I can absorb the rain in this case. All the negativity about the world, I'm protected. I know how to self-care. I know how to take care of myself when I come across all that negative crap, all that negative, whatever you need to do. Maybe you need to sage yourself. Maybe you need to light protection candle. Maybe you just need to have a strong, cultivated mindset. That's a form of umbrella. So a lot of you haven't learned how to have that umbrella. So there you are in the sunshine. You're beautiful, you're glorious, and it's raining. And anybody ever been caught in the rain when they feel amazing? I, I think very few people love it, being caught in the rain, to be honest. Um, I don't. I don't like going out looking glorious and then having my makeup go down with along with the rain and my hair getting messed up. So this is the metaphor. This is the challenge. That's what causes a lot of this anger and a lot of this feeling I hate myself because the world is almost like, we're gonna pull you back. Don't you dare to be happy. Don't you dare to embody your trans womanhood. And it takes tremendous amount of resilience and ownership and inner power to say, fuck you, fuck off. Pardon my French. I hope nobody has kids listening in the background. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. On top of that, you also have the world tells you not only about how to be or not to be as a trans woman, but also how to be and not to be as a woman in general. Oh, and let me tell you, this is not enough. Then cis women, not all, right? There's a lot of cis folks that are incredibly supportive, but there's also cis women who suddenly feel that somehow your existence is robbing them of their birthright. I don't even know why being born, particular gender, is anybody's birthright, period. I just think it's like it happens. This is not, it doesn't establish as any, anyway, this is me. So there's also cis women out there who feel like, how dare you to parade your trans womanness, to parade your trans womanhood? How dare you? Only I can be a woman. Only I can have womanhood. So there's, we all know there's cis women who don't don't acknowledge and accept trans women. All right. And what makes it worse, what makes so many of you angry and miserable is because then a lot of you go to trans spaces to find your trans sisterhood. Of course, for all women, we women are just evolutionary predisposed for community, gathering, storytelling, right? This is why I love working so much with all of you. I love working with trans women so much because it's like, I don't know, it's just like healing circle of feminine energy. It's, I love it. So it's natural for us as women to want to find our group, to find the connection, our sisters. I love that word sisters. I grew up with two sisters. We're so close. I want every one of you to experience that experience of that closeness to another woman. So then you go to trans circles, and lo and behold, what happened there? Now you have your trans sisters tell you, mm-mm, excuse me, are you on hormones? No? Sorry. Still have a penis? Sorry. Facial hair? No way. You look like you're sexualizing yourself too much. Not for this group. There's all of this gatekeeping rules and restrictions and barriers that then they themselves impose on you. So, is it any surprise that so many of you one day completely love yourself as you should, and then the next day are angry at yourself, hate yourself, angry that you are a trans woman, angry that you have to live in this world, angry that you have to deal with all of this? My goodness, woman, how are you still standing? That's my question. And I know how you all of you are standing is because you're goddamn resilient. I always say this. If you manage to live with gender dysphoria and it did not take your life, you're way more resilient. You're way more resilient. I'm going to say this than going through childbirth. Okay? I know people are going to come to me and they're going to be like, but Dr. D, you don't have any kids. You don't know. You've never gone through childbirth. I don't give a shit. I know a lot about dysphoria. Childbirth is what? A couple of hours? This days is epidural. Okay, natural childbirth. All right, 8 hours. My sister had natural childbirth. It was torture for her. But did it last for decades? No. So let's not, you know, there's big differences there in duration of pain. You're very resilient. But this oscillating is going to give you mind fuck. This going back and forth is going to make you self-doubt and question yourself. And it's important for you to know that when you go from I love myself to I hate myself, the hatred here is dual. On one hand, it is potentially could be your own internalized shame and guilt and self-loathing that you need to work through. That's okay. That's okay. It's great that you're getting signal over here that that needs to work through. Trust me, you'll be much better, much stronger, much more amazing woman once you work through this. It has to do with full unself-acceptance. When you don't fully self-accept yourself, you're going to feel this. And yes, once you do detox all of that, the dual second part of this hate and anger and self-loathing is then the world and cis women and trans women and anybody else. And that is something you don't have control over. The first one, you have control over. You can detox your shit. The second one, you don't have control over, but you can control how you feel when you come against it. You can control when you get into the group and trans women tell you you don't belong. You can control to set your boundaries and to acknowledge that that's they're projecting they're projecting what they need to work on. And ask yourself, do you truly want to be part of a group that has such limited, small, tiny view of a woman and trans womanhood? Because trans womanhood is very broad. And chances are you don't want to be part of you don't want to be part of the group where people are bigots, period. So you do have control over that. You have control over learning how to develop an umbrella. So when you step out there and you hear the world push against you, you have tools at your disposal that you can open up and protect yourself. That is what you do have control over. But this is why you oscillate, right? It's so common. It is so common. But also, there's lots of room to manage it. There's lots of room to navigate that. And the truth is, because I don't want you all to walk away from this thinking that, well, that's pretty depressing. Great. It's me against the world and it's me against cis and trans women. And it's not black and white like that. Like I said, there's a ton of people who support trans folks. There's a ton of cis women who see you as one of them, who see you as part of sisterhood. I am one of them. I'm a testament To me, trans women are women, and to me, you're all my sisters. You might not be my bloodline sisters, but you are my sisters because we're all navigating this world through the same womanhood experiences, give or take. And so, and the same goes for trans women. There's a lot of trans women who support you. So it's important to not immediately have this mindset of doom and gloom and glasses half empty. No, the glasses half full. And you have to recognize that all of us, the reality is that all of us, we all are being bombarded by messages from the world and other people. I, as a woman, get bombarded from the world, how I ought to be as a woman. And then I get bombarded messages from cis women, how to be. For my career, I get bombarded from trans women telling me, stuff like, you don't belong in the space making trans informative content because you're not a woman of transgender experience. Bullshit. Complete bullshit, right? You don't need your doctor to have history of experiencing cancer. Your oncologist, you don't need your oncologist to go through cancer to be able to help you, right? We all know that. But these are the barriers people are going to put. And the barriers are coming from their sense of powerlessness, their sense of insecurities, their own deep shit, their own dark internal corners that they need to work through. It has absolutely nothing to do with you or me. It has a lot more to do with them. And the sooner you learn it, the quicker you're going to be able to go then from this feeling of hatred toward yourself to shifting back into self-love, into self-appreciation, into self-containment, into self-ownership of your trans womanhood. Because believe me, there's so much here for you. There's so much here for you. So comment below. I feel like this has been a long video. I feel like are you all still with me? Comment below, my friends. Let me know what happens when you go from self-love to self-hate. What happens? Have you learned how to carry your own umbrella? What is your umbrella? What represents your umbrella? Share the struggles you've been through and how you overcame. Share them below because everybody benefits from the comment section. This is, remember, we're all supporting it. This is sisterhood in a way. The YouTube channel is a sisterhood. It's a sister hub where we all plug in and connect, right? It's all here for us. So share below. I love to hear your comments. Give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. And I will see you all next time. Goodbye.